At that time, I heard a little girl's laughter. It was Rika Furude. The last survivor of the Furude family and their current head. However, she wasn't really treated as one. During the family council, she'd often draw pictures to take a nap in the hag's bed. She wasn't even invited to last night's meeting. It was hard to believe such a little girl was responsible for part of the curse system. However, even though she wasn't in a respected position as the head of the Furude family, there were plenty of people who worshipped her as the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. I'd heard from someone that Rika Furude was rather odd and seemed to behave as if she knew she was the reincarnation. Maybe Takano-san had told me that at the library when she was alive. When Rika Furude became worried about something, the elderly people who worshipped her would make arrangements. It was very similar to the Sonozaki family, and it was also the same system as used for the curse. I wonder, does Rika Furude know anything about the deaths of Takano-san and Toмотaki-san? What does she think of people sneaking into the ritual storehouse? Does she know who snuck in and what happened to those people? As the one managing the storehouse, it was possible that she noticed the intruders first. In fact, she was the only one who could have noticed it. She must have passed on the information, which was why the curse was executed. That foolish keiichi turned the light on. We went into the ritual storehouse. That light switch could have been connected to some kind of alarm. Rika Furude, the leader of the Furude family. Maybe getting to know her would be a good idea. As the leader of the Furude family, how much do you know about the incident? I asked her rather directly. It was hard to tell if she understood I was asking her in place of the Sonozaki family head, instead of Mion Sonozaki. Are you talking about Toмотaki and Takano? Rika answered. The news hadn't been made public yet she knew about it. Although she looked immature, perhaps she truly was the head of the Furude family. That's the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I already know that. But it's not over yet, is it? There should still be 2 more. Have you heard about what will happen to them? I tried to be vague to see how Rika Furude would react. I had been thinking that she had nothing to do with the underside of hinamizawa, since she was always treated like a child. However, Rika had just said things about the incident which normal people shouldn't know anything about. That proved she belonged to the underside's network. I don't think that matters anymore. She answered the question about Toмотaki-san and Takano-san fairly quickly, but took a little longer to answer this time. Did she have to think about it? Shit, the look on her face never changes. It's impossible to figure out what she's thinking. What do you mean? How can they get away with what they've done? I think if they feel bad about what they've done, that should be fine. Her response was unexpected, especially after seeing all the old people get so furious last night. Hey, Shion, this is the only person in the village capable of giving you clemency. I mean, literally, if keiichi were to marry her, he'd be instantly forgiven. But at this point, let's be clear. She could marry Keiichi and adopt you. And you'd still be forgiven, even with killing Oryu and Kimi Yosh, the mayor. I can't remember his name. Just saying, this is the one person in the village who actually could say, you know what? As the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, I say, forgive them. And that's it. That's in fact, the whole reason why the detective was able to leave alive was because of her, even though she was trying to ask him for help as well. However, I also feel like this village doesn't really honor those traditions as strongly as I just said a moment ago. Because in Tatara Goroshi, her best friend who was living with her was taken away by Teppei and was being severely abused. You think that, she would be able to intercede on that. She may not have known Satoko or been close enough to her with the whole issue of Satoshi and the aunt, but by this issue, the Sonozaki's already taken care of her indirectly via Rika. Satoko's been living with Rika. They're best friends. They're basically sisters. Unless they're just glad to get the person away from her. But even then, that also goes against the word. And honor is very important to them, more than human decency. I'm just saying this. You're talking to the one person who could actually forgive you, literally for everything you've done, Shion. You could literally go back to a normal life. You and Keiichi could be fine. Instead, we're going to provoke the situation. Then again, there's also the fact that Rika's time traveler, maybe in one of the loops, one version of Onakakushi where she, either tells Keiichi or, again, I think in one of the animes, Keiichi just sort of remembers. He starts feeling the effects of the time loops too. Yes, there's stuff about brain parasites and underside, Yakuza, religious fanatic network, superstition, actual god deities, ghosts, demons, space aliens, mental conditions, as well as just, the circumstances these people live in are not exactly very mentally healthy. But I'm just saying, for Shion, even with everything you've done, this person could still give you clemency. You literally have a chance to fix everything. To trespass in the ritual store also is blasphemy against Oyashiro-sama. Yes, against Oyashiro-sama. So Oyashiro-sama has the right to forgive, and she has been given the authority to say stuff on Oyashiro-sama's behalf. So literally this is the one person allowed to forgive such a thing. It's like, hey, you broke the most sacred rule of the people who are willing to murder people over nothing. Hey, it's the one person who has the power to give you forgiveness and mercy, and they want to. The village elders had said those intruders deserved to die. Yet the leader of the Furuta family, who protected the sacred storehouse for spiritual influence, said that they felt remorse for it. That was fine. Also, was she even made aware of that point at that point? Does she... More than likely, she was doing the dance ritual at that time. So more than likely, she didn't wind up seeing the stuff till the morning. She probably doesn't check the stuff until the morning. When there's light through the windows in the ceiling. I wonder how this would have went differently if Rika was at the council. I don't know. I recalled how people thought of Rika Furude's father during the dam conflict. Yes. Oh, we're thinking that because she's too much of a pacifist. Okay, that's against the dam conflict, people. So let me get this straight. Because she's not as violent, bigoted asshole as you think she's supposed to be given this asshole system. You think she's a traitor and a weakling and that she's betraying the spirit of Oyashiro-sama by showing mercy to you. That'd be the equivalent of you were in front of your fucking grandma when she was telling you to rip out your fucking fingernails, and then you yell back at, and then you're about to do it, and she says, "Oh no, I feel sudden empathy and care for my granddaughter. You don't have to rip out your fingernails anymore because I love you, and I'm sorry for everything." And then you'd look back at her and yell at her and tell her, "You stupid bitch! How dare you show mercy? That's a sign of weakness in our culture." That's what? What? This... Shion, I feel like you're making contradictions. I feel like you're, I don't know. This may just be me. I may be reading too much into this, guys. I'm probably wrong on this. But I think Shion might not be fully in her right mind right now. I think that's a possibility. Might have to run some tests. I don't know what tests we'd do. But this feels like, hey, guess what? The only way to be the proper religious person in this society is more violence, more yelling. It's like, you know how I'm right? Because I'm yelling at you. It's like you're a sinner in the eyes of Oyashiro-sama because you're not violent enough. I'm going to be abusive to you and beat the fucking shit out of you and be overly controlling to you. And I'm in the right because I'm the one yelling at you. That's what this is. This is just, hey, whoever's most violent must be the person who's doing God's will the best, right? If you're sick, it must be punishment from God. If something bad happens, you must be a bad person. It's like no room for any sort of compassion or kindness or concern about people's thoughts or feelings or actual love. It's just, hey, we're just going to rule through fear, intimidation, and even just like this person's going to show mercy. It's like, nope, that's not good enough. You're being a weakling. You're being a pacifist. You're not being violent enough. We have to fucking punish them. This, like I said, this would be the equivalent of like if you were like they were going to like show you mercy with the nail clipping thing, and you like yelled at them, telling them to go fuck themselves, and then you choose to remove all 10 of your nails, and then start murdering everybody. I mean, technically part of that's still happening. Just saying. Like I said, I'm probably wrong about this, guys. But I think Shion might not be in the right state of mind. Maybe a nap would fix that. She hasn't been sleeping well. Maybe naps would fix. Maybe a Red Bull. But I do dislike that a lot of... Granted, it's not inherent to any... I think it's just a people thing. Simply put, a lot of people like to abuse authority. And usually the people that want to abuse authority are the ones who try to seek it more and more. Whereas the people who are less likely to abuse authority really don't give a fuck about authority and don't bother seeking that stuff and, you know, just tend to stay to themselves and just do their own thing. When really those people should be the one in authority. Granted, they might be less decisive, but they're less likely to abuse authority. Then again, they could be manipulated. It depends on the person. I'm just saying, in general, usually the people who want to abuse authority will try to seek it out more. Granted, there are exceptions to both sides of that coin. It's just, I think the Machiavellian, the prince, kind of explains that pretty well. That usually people who want to abuse authority seek it more, and when people who would abuse authority are in authority, they're able to bypass a lot of rules that would limit their authority. Whereas good people tend to not seek. People who wouldn't abuse authority tend to not seek authority, tend to not care, and even if they're in a position of authority, they tend to not try to use it to its absolute fullest power because of, morality. Then again, a lot of what's happening here is a kind of, I would say twisted morality, but it's based off perspective. There's lots of people that have different views on different kinds of morality. Then again, I think that's one good thing about America is the idea that people should be able to have civil discussions, free speech. People should be able to tell their government what they're doing wrong, and they should be able to, openly discuss what they think's right or wrong with society, and everyone should be able to have polite, civil conversations to try to, understand, life, philosophy, mathematics. Like, there should be no question that's off limits. Like, if you're going to ask a question about, like, math or religion or government, there should be nothing wrong with having discussions. I would say as long as you're not actively calling for, like, violence to hurt anybody or slandering anyone It's fine. Because, like, I'm a big supporter of free speech. But at the same time, free speech doesn't cover things like, yelling fire in a movie theater when there's no fire and there's no fire. Because you're likely to cause, deaths by what you're doing. Aside from that, actively calling to hurt somebody or to destroy something or to, actively slander somebody. Now, obviously, you should be able to whistleblow on certain things of the government, but you shouldn't be, outright lying. And, of course, there's different rules when it comes to things between a major news outlet, a billion-dollar corporation, or even, the government that literally controls everything, as opposed to just a random person having a discussion about, hey, what are our thoughts on the Fifth Amendment? Or the discussions of when we made alcohol prohibition or they wanted to repeal the alcohol prohibition. I think it's important to discuss things. I'm just saying, I dislike that a lot of times. Religion is good, but it can be abused. And I feel like a lot of people, there are people out there that would misuse it as a system of control. Either they're overly fanatical and they care literally about, fulfilling whatever it is that they think is morally right above, actually the well-being of society or its people. Or they don't believe in it and they're just using it as a system of control to make their government more efficient. My main point is this. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. But I don't want Christian laws. I don't want any religious group to have its laws in place of society. I don't want, the governor to pass a law because he had a vision from God. That, okay, we're passing this law because God said so. No. We should have laws based off of common sense and just human decency. Now, people should have a strong faith in God, but that there should be separation of church and state. And there's certainly a benefit to people believing in God, and it's certainly good for the people in government to believe in the God that, I'd say is rooted with the culture of that society. It'd be kind of I would say it's fairly normal if people in Japan would still hold to a lot of the older traditions of their homeland. I think that's only normal. So, yeah. But I also don't think that there should be laws based purely off of, any of their religious texts or off the Bible or any other religious text. I think when it comes to laws governing society, they should be laws that are just based off how to, govern society fairly so that, innocent people are safe and society can prosper. I'm just saying I dislike the idea of whether it be people trying to enforce a law for a government or for religion being, or even just parents, relationships, friends, society, any group, a business, a workplace. I feel like I have an issue of any place where there's a person of authority that's abusing that authority and is becoming violent and coercive. Basically, sadism, manipulation, control, abuse. I'm just feeling like there's a lot, heck, my personal experience with a lot of Christian churches is a lot of the pastors, some of them don't even care about God. They literally just care about their position of authority. And others are so fanatically, about God that they wind up preaching things that I don't think God would agree with. That I think they're just so lost in it they lose things like, I don't know, the plot. I know, I'm making an anime joke. I'm just saying, I feel like a lot of times they lose things like compassion. And I feel like a lot of times they get sometimes worked up into an hysteric sort of mindset, and that they wind up bringing a lot of the people in the congregation with them. I mean, heck, especially in times of conflict, you see a lot of in horror movies, which, again, people say, oh, it's just a movie, but yes, but it's also like a good way to explain the human condition, the way people interact. Just same as this story here. But take the movie The Fog. When those people are stuck in the store, and the people start panicking, so they decide they need to start killing people as a sacrifice to appease God. You know, you had one very fanatical person who, let's be clear, that person really did not have any, feelings of sympathy for the people they'd be hurting. And a lot of people just went with it. I guess the best way to put this is this. In a dangerous situation, or in a situation where the human body is compromised, like say if you're, I don't know, exposed to some kind of drug or something, you're not going to be able to think clearly. Or if you're in a very panicked situation, a time limit, or think you're all going to die. I mean, to be honest, I'll be clear. If I was stranded in a grocery store in the middle of Timbuktu, and there was fog everywhere, and there were giant insects that were tearing people's flesh off and eating them horrifically painfully, and there was no hope of survival, I would be very scared. Just saying. I know that's kind of a pussy thing to say. I mean, most people would probably say that they wouldn't be scared at all and they'd find some sort of solution. Don't get me wrong. I would still want to try to figure out something. But let's be clear. I'd be fucking terrified. But yeah, as far as a religious thing or like whatever, it's like, I don't like the idea of people being physically violent or abusive. Or, oh, we don't agree with your view on this. So rather than having a proper discussion with this or letting you make decisions or even caring about your well-being first, we're just going to threaten you and shame you and everyone's going to hate you. And a lot of people are just going to yell at you and verbally abuse you, threaten you with violence, and also attack you with violence. Because at the end of the day, we don't care about what's right or wrong. Because at the end of the day is, the person in authority, whatever they say is automatically right. And if you're disagreeing, you're automatically wrong. You know what? You're committing the worst sin of all, disagreeing with authority. Like I said in the last video, that's one thing Jesus said against the Pharisees. It's like, all they cared about was perceived righteousness and following the letter of the law. They didn't care about the meaning of the law or how the effect it had on society. They didn't care about people. They just cared about what did people think about them and following orders. That's all that mattered. As far as they're concerned, the highest, state of, godliness and doing what God would want would be care what other people think about you, obey orders. The end. Just obey authority. The end. That's all you should do. And obviously that's not exactly the best. I mean, granted, yes, you do have to have some respect for authority, and you should care somewhat what people think about you. That's how society functions. But that shouldn't be 100% absolute. Otherwise, we get very, very bad societies, usually fascist societies in that situation. Or complete anarchy. Just saying. Not good. Everyone's like, we're going on a tangent. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, you shouldn't have a religious person just be like, oh, I'm just going to yell at you and you're a bad person and you're a sinner because you're disagreeing with me. It's like you're going against tradition and you're disagreeing with authority and you make this person look bad, so you're automatically a bad person. It's like, and again, I'm also against the whole, because I feel things like Hellraiser and other movies like that or games like that about hell. A lot of people say, oh, you deserve to go to hell and all that, but have you really thought about it? And then you have all these churches oh, these people will burn in hell. But it's do you understand the gravity of what you're talking about? And even if you do you still have empathy? And even then, it's just, I feel like a lot of people who would feel that stuff is justified for people that are against God or whatever, I feel like the same people would then feel that if it's justified in the afterlife, well then it's justified to do that to people in real life. So I feel like the same people who would feel like a hell is justified would also feel like a ritual storehouse in the underground to torture people is justified. Now again, I'm again going to say absolutism is not a good, answer. Would there be some circumstances in which the torture room would be good? As far as I'm concerned, it's not something I would want to be used, but it's like arguing capital punishment. I would say in general I'm against it, but I would understand some societies having some circumstances. But again, I would think in that situation, unless there was a pressing issue of someone about to be hurt, there should be a discussion about it. But, yeah, I kind of feel like people that would justify a hell would also justify all of that. And again, one could say, oh, maybe hell's justified in certain situations. Like, okay, maybe Hitler could go to hell for a brief period of time, but there's still no reason for him to, be tortured for eternity. I'd say maybe 20 years at best. I feel at that point everyone who suffered from World War II and the Holocaust, and even for the Weimar Republic, I think anyone that would hold any grudge would feel, vindicated. Obviously, you would never find peace if you don't feel that you were avenged in some way. But at the same time, with the person that wronged you is being tortured for all eternity, how are you going to move on? Isn't that going to cause a psychological problem too? It'd be kind of like if you lived in a house and it was paradise, but the person who wronged you was in the basement, being tortured for all eternity too. How would you sleep at night? I mean, guess there's different people that would have different emotional reactions to that, and I guess many people would probably criticize my, feelings toward that. But again, my feelings are my feeling, and I would understand other people would feel differently. So, that's kind of the point of humanity. We're a lot of very different people. So, a lot of us think very differently from each other. But we're getting angry at Rika for not being violent and abusive enough. That's what's happening here. Especially since Rika actually has the authority to, and I don't know if Rika even knows this is Shion in front of her. She thinks it's Mion. Or she thinks it's Rika, or Shion. Who knows? Because keep in mind, Rika's also a time traveler who's been looping this fucking city's events for 1,000 years, trying to find an ending in this of this never-ending plinko machine called hinamizawa, in which no one dies, or at least there's a heck. It could be taken two ways. It could be taken as, granted, we have Rika talking right now, saying, hey, she just wants Shion and Keiichi to be forgiven. She does have the authority to do that. And you're like, well, the priest. Yeah, but here's the thing. Those weren't citizens of Hinamizawa. That's a damn conflict thing. But basically, you're deciding that she deserves to die for not being violent enough. Also, just to be clear, the damn conflict guy died of brain worms and was dissected by Dr. Irie and Mio. The Hojo's parents both died from a literal accident. The priest literally just had a health condition. And the woman his wife was just hysterical and suicidal. after everything going on because of the nature of the city. The aunt was beaten to death by Satoshi for being an abusive bitch. Satoshi was then kidnapped by Mio Takano, the woman you were talking to in the library, who was leading an army of 100 Nazi doctors with AK-47s in the mountains, next to your torture chamber. You think the Sonozakis would have noticed. And this year, well, I mean, in every timeline, Mio and Jiro die. Jiro outlives his usefulness, and also Takano is a lesbian, bisexual, but she's been fucking, but she also likes Rena. Anyway, so she drugged Jiro to kill her own boyfriend, so he'd kill himself via suicide. She then faked her own death, and now she's in like a military compound watching. Also, depending on what happens, in a few days, there will be a volcanic gas leak inside the swamp, killing everyone in the entire Hinamizawa area. In this timeline, well, let's see. You killed your grandmother, the mayor. You technically get into a fight with Rika later on today, in which Rika is murdered. And even technically, the people could say, oh, the circumstances that don't really count as murder. Again, one, there was a fight there that forced it at every turn where, you know, Rika could have been saved. But also, this here. Rika was trying to give clemency. She probably even thinks you're Mion, at which point she's willing to fight Mion to save Shion and Keiichi. Because she thinks Mion's being cruel and she's trying to murder people. Beyond that, well, I mean, Shion, you do kill Satoko and Mion and Keiichi and yourself. And the first Onikakushi, Keiichi has, well, there's peanut butter jelly time. That's all the explanation you need for Onikakushi. And then, more peanut butter jelly time. And Tatara Goroshi. But again, anybody could have stepped at any point to stop Teppei, especially since you're willing to do all this shit. And even then, he repeats the same thing Satoshi said. So everybody knew, and that's why, Keiichi was seen at the festival, because they created an alibi for him, because they knew he was going to do it. Which, on the one hand, okay, cool. They went an extra step to tell him about the, but they should have also told him about that alibi they set up afterward, because obviously he was very confused. And they were trying to invite him to place, but at that point, it's very unusual. They should have, Rena should have whispered something to him. Though at that point, it started being noticeable that Rena and Mion were starting to have issues. Also, Satoko was still running into issues. So either there was the ghost of Teppei, or someone else, or maybe it was Mio in a wig, or reverse wig, I don't know, a bald cap. Or maybe at that point Keiichi went insane and he was split personality. He was now thinking he was Teppei. So he was having a split personality bouncing between being Teppei and being her protector. I think that Robert De Niro did that in the movie Hide and Seek, didn't he? But yeah. But also, during all that, let's see. Dr. Eri kills himself with sleeping pills. The detectives all die. Probably from the Nazi soldiers. And of course, eventually Satsuko has a mental breakdown and pushes Keiichi off a bridge. But then everyone dies But then Keiichi survives falling off the bridge. But everyone dies in the volcano stuff. I'm just saying, there's so many ways that a lot of these things could have been fixed if somebody knew the future. Like, I understand it's traumatic, the time looping stuff, but I'd say, given what you know about the time looping stuff, if you know everything that's going to happen, even if you know which timeline, even if you know every timeline, you don't know which one you're in, you could fix things. It's actually doable. But again, I don't know how much actual ability you're able, like, you're probably not always aware of anything. Because I know one part of the anime, she purposely chooses to get killed in a horrifically painful way so that the memory would stay fresh. So she's not fully aware of the past. Which probably makes this worse in every way. But it could also be the future, Rika saying, oh, it doesn't matter anymore, this timeline's already fucked. It's like, hey, you have the power to change the future, but you're only aware of it after it's past the point of no return. Like, fuck. I'm just saying, though, there are like 100 times like any of the characters in this game could have made a decision that would have made things better. But yeah, my main complaint is I feel that there are some authority figures or religious groups of every denomination, like every religion you can think of, any religious system, even 8 groups of atheists. At the end of the day, there are people that will, well, basically be abusive assholes. Whether it be to the people in their community, their children, their partners, their family members, their friends, their congregation, their society. Like I said, I largely feel that Mayor Kimiyoshi, the old lady, Teppei, are not justified in their treatment of people. I don't think Teppei really deserves to live. And I don't think really outright murdering him is the best decision, but I definitely understand the feeling. Just saying. And everyone's like, move on with the story. I know. I guess I'm just a little emotion hung up on the thing myself. That is just, I just don't really like it. The idea that you're in the wrong because I'm yelling at you. I'm the person in authority. I'm the one being more aggressive, so I'm in the right. I'm going to yell at you and treat you however I want, and if you disagree with me, well, then it just proves that you deserved, the punishment that I'm giving you. The idea of like someone basically yelling and screaming at someone and beating them with like a fucking belt or some shit, while claiming that person would have the moral superiority, and that it's like, oh, that's the right thing to do. Like, obviously, I disagree with that, and I feel like largely that's how a lot of this system's being treated, and Rika is basically, essentially breaking the cycle of that, saying, you know what, no, we're not going to brutally murder or punish or be cruel to Shion and Keiichi. We're going to show some mercy. And Shion here, well, Shion's about to be Shion. Her father was called an opportunist back then. He didn't agree with the Onikafushi guardians who had resisted violently during the conflict. Like father, like daughter. I aggressively grabbed Rika Furude by the collar. Huh? What the heck are you talking about? You're pretty stupid, just like your predecessor, aren't you? The Furude family must understand better than anybody else sacred the ritual storehouse is. How could the head of the family say such a thing? I laughed at myself. I was told the same thing by someone else and was now saying to Rika, don't you know how serious a crime trespass the ritual storehouse is? It's a very important place for Oyashiro-sama. So nobody can go in without permission. See, you know that. But those poor people brought their filth in there. What bad kitty cats? Meow. That's right. Bad cats. 2 cats have been caught and punished. There are 2 more. Meow. How do you think they should be punished? Tell me your opinion as the head of the Fruity family. Rika really didn't wear any expression whatsoever, making it impossible to tell what she was thinking. But while I grabbed her by the collar and stared at her, I could tell somehow Rika was a little disturbed. I sensed she was trying to see what I was thinking in turn. I want to forgive those 2 kitty cats. 1? Oh, she's disturbed? What, by the person yelling at her face, grabbing her by the collar, talking about murdering people? I wonder why she would feel disturbed. Also, again, this is the one person capable of giving you clemency, who was actively wanting to forgive you for the ritual storehouse and forgive Keiichi. This is the one person that if you were to explain to her what has happened with Mayor Kimiyoshi and with your grandmother and with Mion being locked in a fucking dungeon, this is the one person who could actually save you and give you forgiveness. Instead, we're going to double down and pretending to be Mion, not tell the truth, be an abusive fucking bitch to the one person capable of actually saving us. And then we're going to further threaten to murder Keiichi and Shion. So now Rika's going to see us as this abusive person who's going to murder Shion and Keiichi, and possibly has already killed Shion. So Rika, right after talking to us, is going to talk to Keiichi, who's begging for her to do something to save him. So Rika is going to show up to fight us in order to save the life of Keiichi. So literally everything bad that's happening, we're forcing to happen by being Shion. Shion, just... Like at this point, all you had to do is say, okay, agreed. I mean, hell, actually, if you had not beaten the old lady with the fucking whip with the fish hooks, which again, maybe that's her fault for having a whip with fish hooks. You know, I'm just saying, it's a little hard to feel sympathy for the grandmother when she has done all the things and she literally lives on top of a room full of torture implements. Here's the thing. I'll tell you this. I don't have a basement full of torture implements. I'm just saying this. If she just died from the stun gun, maybe Mion would have cooperated. We just said, she died of a heart attack. Maybe that could have worked. Aside from the fact you, burned her retinas out with a fucking lighter. And her nose. I mean, she really took up smoking really hardcore. But I'm just saying this. This person's showing mercy and forgiveness. I mean, being angry at her for this situation. And again, you're using the twisted logic of the system that you hated so much. You yourself are trying to fight it. This person is literally saying, I want to save you and other people, and I want to fight the same enemy that you hate. You literally hate this entire system, Shion. And literally, Rika Furude is standing for a side of the system that is literally to save you, forgive you for everything, including the stuff she doesn't even know about yet. Forgive Keiichi. Stand against the system that you hate, and she's literally standing on the side that would have saved Satoshi. So literally, to be angry at Rika at this point in the situation would be the same as saying you wish you had been punished worse, and that you and Keiichi deserve death for just going in the storehouse, let alone for all the other shit you've done. You're literally taking the side of the system. The whole point of everything you've been doing has been to fight the system. Rika is now saying she wants to fight the system, or at least use the system for a benevolent purpose. And now you're going to take the side of the malevolent side of the system? Again, guys, I think Shion might not be in the right state of her mind. Why should they get away with what they've done? Me? What are you trying to say? That's a good question, so let me explain. Those two must offer compensation for what they've done. They have to clear away their sins. Otherwise, Oyashiro-sama won't stop being angry. Again, I kind of feel like maybe some religious fanaticism is very bad. And again, people say, oh, you shouldn't be lukewarm about stuff. It also doesn't mean you should be fucking psycho. Okay? Or be like... It just means this. You should actually have strong beliefs and stay to your beliefs. But you also shouldn't be a violent psychopath about it. Or overly controlling. But also, these people are like, okay. It's like, okay, someone did something you disagree with. So you're just going to call it a sin, and then you're going to be cruel to them and say they have to obey you and be punished, and that's justice. But here's the thing. 1, who are you to declare what is a sin and what is not? 2, who are you to give out punishment? And 3, who are you to say what's an appropriate punishment? Or even what's wrong in the first place when it comes to that? I mean, heck, there are parts of the world that are like fucking honor killings and shit. To where like, oh no, this person dated somebody of the wrong skin color. This person ate bacon. Or, I don't know, this person disagreed with me. Death. Now, obviously, yes, if a person's being overly rude to you, yes, there does call for some, violence. But, there's a difference between somebody just, oh, you didn't like how they looked at you, as opposed to they walked up and spit on you. Like, if somebody walks up and spits on you, okay, yeah, punch them in the fucking face. But if someone just walking by and you're like, I don't really like the way they looked at me. No, that is not justification to, run after them and stab them to death. No. But, I feel like this is a very... Regardless of the situation, whether it's even if it's in a completely atheistic society and it's just about some law or custom of, the culture, I feel like this is a completely psychotic, unhinged thing to think or say. Every crime must be punished appropriately. This would be like saying, oh, there's an earthquake. God must be angry. Let's kill all the people of some given ethnicity to appease the creator. It must be right because the creator wants it. No. Dear goodness. Do you understand? Oh, Yashiro-sama doesn't get angry even if someone enters the storehouse. Huh? What are you saying? The reason why nobody is allowed to see the ritual storehouse is because there are too many scary tools in there. I'm sure people would get scared if they saw them. That's why we don't let people in there. I'm sure those intruders were scared too, and I'm sure they feel bad about what they've done. They're forgiven once they feel bad about what they've done? That's not for you to decide. That's what Oyashiro-sama decides. 1, she's the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. 2, she is literally the priest at the head of the... But here's the big thing. I mean, it literally says in the Bible, word for word, that the greatest sacrifice you can give to God is a contrite and repentant heart. Simply put, this: remorse and empathy. That's it. That's what those words mean. Remorse and empathy. 1, you realize that you did the things that hurt people, and you feel bad about it, and you don't want to hurt people. 2, you feel empathy in regard that you feel, you actually care about the well-being of others and don't, have a desire to be cruel. That's literally the answer. I'm the shrine maid of Oyashiro-sama, don't you know? Of course I do. You aren't telling me that Oyashiro-sama told you he isn't angry, are you? Rika nodded yes without hesitation. I can't believe the lies she's coming up with. I'm not surprised, I'm shocked. Okay, Shion. There are only 2 answers here. 1. Actually, there's 3 answers. Answer 1. You don't believe in any of the stuff Oyashiro-sama. You think it's just a superstition that everyone's made into a culture around here of control. At which point, Rika is a young, impressionable child and actually thinks that everything told to her is the literal truth. Even her mother was thinking that when she was a child. Now, answer 2. I kind of forgot what I was talking about. Just saying this. Either you don't believe in Oyashiro-sama, at which point, regardless if this person believes or not, this person's on your side, trying to go the route of forgiveness, fighting the system that you were literally trying to dismantle 5 minutes ago. So it's very hypocritical and stupid for you to be angry at Rika in any way, shape, or form. 2. You do believe in Oyashiro-sama. Which point means that you should be respecting what she has to say. Because that should be considered sacred to you. I mean, here's the thing. And right now you're talking to her as if it's real. So either you honestly believe it's real, at which point you should be listening to her, or you don't believe it's real, you believe it's just some superstition, and it's just a system of control used, and now you're using it actively as a means of authoritarian control in a very dishonest, hypocritical way. Like, there's so many forms of hypocrisy here, it's just like layers of a cake. And now I want cake. Huh? That's why your parents died of the curse 2 years ago. Well, you're sure something angry because they didn't deserve to serve him. That's why he cursed your father. Oh, your sister would never do that. He just died of a heart attack. He was an old guy. He didn't have anything to do with God. Yes, God has the power to make someone die of a heart attack or not die of a heart attack. That is true. God can literally do anything. God has infinite power. God can choose to kill everyone and to not kill everyone or anyone. But also, it literally says in the book of Proverbs that rain falls on the just and unjust equally, which is kind of a fucked up thing to say, but it's a statement of the truth. And I'd rather have a statement of the truth that's fucked up than a lie that, is comforting. The best way to put it is this. God is saying this. Above Jesus is RN Jesus. Simply put, yes, God, Jesus, however you want to look at it, God has infinite power to change anything, but largely God stays very much uninvolved. Like, I would expect that if I were to suddenly fall off something, God is not going to save me. I'm just going to be let go kersplat. No one is going to save me. And again, there's no reason to save me. There's nothing special about me. Hell, you have all the people that fucking died in the Holocaust and all that shit. Nobody fucking saved them. So why the fuck would anybody save me if I was put in some sort of dangerous situation? I am certainly not anywhere near as righteous or as good as any of them. That being said, random number generator. Largely God stays uninvolved and he lets things happen like a random number generator. So a lot of times if somebody's sick or hurt, yes, some things are fate. Some things are God. Some things are angels and demons. Some things could be aliens or ghosts. Some things could be science. Some things could be a person's personal life choices, like maybe if you ate a large bacon sandwich every day of your life, maybe that would have a negative impact on your heart health, having you have a heart attack earlier in life. That's certainly a possibility. Some things are just due to genetics. And some things just happen. Sometimes horrible things happen to good people for literally no reason. And maybe sometimes there's some greater thing at worked where it's going to make something happen down the line. But largely is this. If someone suddenly dies of a heart attack or a stroke or an aneurysm, it's not some sort of fucking divine punishment. It's not like God has some sort of plan for it. In fact, it's kind of fucking rude and insensitive to say somebody, like, you go to a fucking funeral and somebody's like, a loved one's just died of something sudden, like an aneurysm or something, and you're like, well, God has a plan. That's not comforting. That's condescending. That's insulting. That's like, that's the opposite of saying, I'm sorry for your loss. That's like, hey, your loss happened for a reason, and we're all looking forward to the happy things that come of your loss. That's the opposite of comfort. That's the opposite of consolation, of condolences. In large part is this. Yes, God has, or whatever religion you believe in, and perhaps you'll agree with this statement even more strongly if you are somebody who doesn't even believe in a higher power. But I'll say this. I believe in God. But I'll also say this. I would say majority of the things that happen in this world have nothing to do with God in any way. Most of the good or bad that happens in this world doesn't have anything to do with God. Yes, God created the world, but he's letting it largely run its own course. He influences some things, but then main point is this. If somebody dies of a heart attack, it's just the equivalent. It's just a random number generation. Like I said, it says in the book of Proverbs, rain falls on the just and unjust alike. That a lot of times, whether it be luck or misfortune, it happens to both people. Both to good people and bad people. It's not the bad person dies doesn't mean that they're being punished for something. And if a person lives and survives something, well, it doesn't mean it necessarily was a reward for doing something. Now, is it possible that it could be? Yes. There are certainly been some people in the past who probably die as a punishment, and some people were saved as a reward. But that's not always the case. In fact, I would say it's less common than it just being just life. People live and die. Her dad was really fucking old. People have health conditions. Also, it could have just been the Nazi doctors with the AK-47s in the mountains. It could have been them. He did kind of stumble across what they were doing. And, well, he was trying to stop the revival of Hitler. So, yeah. Again, you think the Sonizakis would be a little more aware of this. My father didn't die because of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Bah! Am I really talking to the last shrine of the Furude family? Obviously, Oyashiro-sama can't be at peace. You are supposed to worship Oyashiro-sama. How pathetic. I don't know why you're so angry, me. I realized she was in a position to know as much as the other two family heads. As proof, she talked about this year's incident as though it was nothing. Yet she couldn't feign ignorance with a serious face. She sure is something. She's even better than me. I slapped her a few times and pushed her to the floor. Rika, having tumbled downward, looked up at me with tears in her eyes. This all happened because you wanted to change the storehouse's lock to something that was easier for you, right? That's true. The old one was too heavy. So I talked to Kimiyoshi and he changed it to a cheaper, lighter one. If you left the heavy lock on, maybe that would have prevented them from trespassing. This is your fault too. Don't you forget that. Of course, the Kimiyoshi family, who actually changed the lock, is responsible for this too. The last part was something I added on a whim. I mean, we have to justify where he's going to die too. Then again, he's already disappeared, so I added it to connect Rika's story to the disappearance to the Kimiyoshi. I wanted to pressure her psychologically by doing so. The head of the Kimiyoshi family had to pay for his crime. That's why he disappeared. The head of the Furude family has to pay for a crime too, Okay, so at this point, Rika is in a position to forgive you for literally everything, including Kimiyoshi and Mion being locked in the dungeon and the one murder of Oryu-san and the desecration of her corpse. Granted, Rika has the potential to just forgive you. Plus, she can argue that, one, you were put in a position where you were scared for your life. So you largely were in a position that you... Because initially when you tased Mion and her grandma, you weren't doing it for revenge. You weren't doing it out of anger. You were doing it because you were fucking scared of your sister, and you had just overheard a conversation with her grandma, and you're like, they're going to fucking murder me. So, at that point, I would say this. It's understandable what you did, because at that point you were doing it to not be murdered yourself. Now, the fact that the old lady died, or your reaction to certain things afterward, or Kimiyoshi, yes, certainly takes a step further. But all things could be still reason that you were doing this out of fear for your life. Also, you do have brainworms. That's probably not helping. Technically, everyone in the city has brainworms, but our brainworms have been going to the gym. They're like lifting weights. They look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, but also, again, we're saying that you're have the justification to be forgiven because you were doing so out of fear for your life. You are not only telling her now that you have that Kimiyoshi has also been murdered for punishment, but that Shion and your own sister and Keiichi will now be killed, and that there's no possibility of saving them. And keep in mind, right after you beat the shit out of Rika, and also threatened to murder her, you're literally making a threat to kill her. You were already saying you want to psychologically corner her. Now you're threatening to murder her for punishment. And then, of course, after this, Keiichi comes to her to beg her for help, at which point the only way she now can stop, the murders from happening is to stop the murderer, which is you. By the way, weren't we saying repeatedly through the entire story how Mion was too soft and that she didn't have the ability to really lie or fake her tears or be cruel or be violent, and she was overly sympathetic? For the most part, let's be clear. Even if Rika was of the mindset that everyone needs to die, Mion would be begging for their safety. Which means literally, Shion, all you had to do was nothing. Technically, Tomotaki-san, like everyone thinks they were killed because of the thing, but really Tomotaki-san was killed by Mio, and Mio faked her death because she's actually Hitler. So, yeah. Mio's still alive. She's the one who killed Jiro. Everyone's like ruining the story. Like, who hasn't seen... It'd be like saying that Goku dies in the fight against Raditz. Or that Frieza's a bad guy. Or that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker. Or that Alucard's a vampire. But I mean, literally, if it was Mion in this conversation, heck, even if Rika was calling for their deaths, Mion would be like, no, we have to forgive Keiichi. And we have to forgive Shion. Now, did a lot of the old people react very poorly? Yes. Would the grandma be kind of a bitch? Yes. Would Mion go along with some degree of it? Yes. But she wouldn't be calling for your guys' murders. But then again, also, everyone in this entire city has fucking brainworms. So the question is, how far has their brainworms gone along? Ours are maturing splendidly, aren't they, Shion? And of course, right after this conversation where we literally threatened to murder Rika and tell her that no matter what, she's going to be killed, and painfully at that, we all say we're going to kill Keiichi and Shion, and then Shion and Keiichi shows up to us begging, for us to And of course, later on these phone calls where Keiichi's all freaked out and scared, and like later on he talks to us on a phone call, crying and sad and saying he's sorry for being angry and freaking out. We're actually secretly enjoying him being upset and scared and terrified and looking forward to seeing him die. And then later on we decided that we're going to do it ourselves in front of Mion, who is being told that she has to still pretend to be Shion while we're pretending to be Mion. And then we switch clothes and we fucking kick our sister down a well, break her neck. To be fair, we also fall down a much more open space well, call it a parking lot, but still. Rika was still on the floor, tears pouring down her cheeks. Keiichi Mabra is the last one left. I suppose the Fruity family will take care of him. What? Okay, so literally you're now saying that, guess what? Shion, my sister's already dead too. And you know what? We'll leave Keiichi to you. So you're required to go kill Keiichi. And then Keiichi's going to show up to her begging, which means she's then given a choice. Kill Keiichi to save her own life, or come after Shion, who is actually, well, Mion. Shion pretended to be Mion. Like, literally, you're making everything horrible. Like, Shion, I feel like a lot of choices you're making are very unethical and very stupid. I don't know anything. You don't need to know anything, do you? You just have to look worried. That's all it takes. That's how it is at our house, too. Anyway, good luck. I don't. Rika hung her head. She doesn't have a family anymore. Rika hung her head. She seemed to want to say something, but she was afraid that I might be rough with her again. I doubted Rika Fruta was actually at the top of the curse system like the hag was. However, as one of the three family heads, she was a lot closer to the underside of the hinamizawa than I was. By now, the underside was well aware of Keiichi Mabra. I told the elderly leaders of the village yesterday that the meeting with Keiichi Mabra was the last one remaining. I just told the head Fruta family the same thing. Threaten. If threateningly. You literally threatened to murder her if she doesn't kill Keiichi. And even then, telling her that she's still going to be punished anyway. But, she'll be allowed to live. If my threat was effective, the curse will sure summons to fall very soon upon Keiichi Mabra. Great way to be a good friend, Shion. I'm sure Keiichi feels great about this. And at just the right time, I would grab my enemy right back as he took my bait. If the assassin came from the Fruity family, this girl would have committed the same sin as the hag. When that time came, I wouldn't hold back. I was going to make sure she suffered and then kill her. I've heard of a torture technique where you pound dozens of nails into a victim's fingers. I already found a restraining table and the tools for it. When the time comes, I'll pound nails into your fingers. That gruesome anticipation radiated from my eyes and scared Rika even further. So we're just like staring at her eyes, imagining torturing her to death. I wonder how Kimiyoshi is doing. Probably dead. Like, honestly, even if he was a young, spry lad, he wouldn't have... At this point, he's been there so long, I'm pretty sure even the most athletically fit person in the world would have died from this. Technically, you die of suffocation from crucifixion, because it makes it hard for your ribs to expand. I doubt he died from tiptoeing all night, but sometimes a human can go very easily. He already told me everything I wanted to hear, and he doesn't know anything else anyway. On top of that, he was responsible for spreading the infection that was the curse system of Yoshizama. His sins are very heavy. But yet Rika was trying to fight that system that you yourself hate and despise and consider the highest sin of all. And yet, you then threatened to murder and torture somebody that was wanting to fight that system and forgive you, and then told her that she's now having to go kill other people. I really liked Uncle Kimiyoshi. He had always been kind. The hag was so tough on her relatives, and that's why he was extra nice to me. When we talked yesterday, I was so happy to hear him say he would forgive Shion. He even said he would fight the hag to save her. That made me very happy. Don't worry, if Shion-chan feels bad about what she has done, she won't be demoned away. Leave it to me. I felt such warmth inside of me. I'll say this. Like, it was still, like, yes, you desecrated the old woman's corpse, but she was already dead, and you didn't intend to kill her. Kimiyoshi, you could have restrained him, but not killed him, or tortured him. I mean, at that point, he would probably reluctantly forgive you. After all, he was part of a system that you were fighting against because you were scared. I almost shivered. I was so happy, yet so very sad. I mean, you could basically say, hey, and be like, why'd you taser me? I'm actually Shion, but I said I'd forgive you. Yeah, I also... Initially, when this stuff happened, I overheard Mion and Grandma talking about the stuff, and then Mion came close to me talking about the stuff, and was looking very scary, so I tased her and the old lady, because I was worried they were going to murder me. I locked me up in a cell, which you are now restrained as well, because I'm concerned about how you're going to react. Anyway, so I tased everyone because I'm worried you guys are going to murder me, and I don't want you to murder me because I would like to not be murdered. But it turns out that the old lady died of a heart attack when I tased her. Maybe I should have turned the tase setting down after that. Otherwise, you might have died too from the tase. But then again, when you mentioned the thing about Satoshi, it made me feel that there was no amount of pleading you'd do. But then again, it was already... I panicked. Panic tase. For he continued to say that Satoshi-kun deserved to die. He said those nice things because he wanted to make me unhappy, since she was worried about Shion. Satoshi-kun deserved to die because he was a member of the cursed Hojo family, but Shion-chan of the Sonoka family did not. That's what he meant. In other words, the leaders of the village, including Kimiyoshi, members of the Hojo family, are more contemptible than insects. They didn't care if they lived or died. Their sins was not only that despised that Hojo family so, but also that they hatred infect the rest of the village. Okay, so that means if you were to suddenly hurt any member of the Hojo family now, that would be very hypocritical of you, Shion. Let alone if it's the person that the person you love cared about more than anything in the world. Therefore, everyone in the village deserves to be a victim of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Kimiyoshi and others created an environment that excused the murder in that name. If that was so, if Takano-san and Tomotaki-san hadn't committed serious crime trespassing in the ritual storehouse, again, they weren't even killed for that. You know, this person literally killed Satoshi and the damn construction worker. This person is largely responsible for all the deaths in Hinamizawa. Also, she faked her own death. She's still alive. Then Satoko Hojo, the last survivor of the Hojo family, and Teppei Hojo, who has been hiding in Okinomiya, might have been the victims. Satoko Hojo. She was always around Satoshi-kun. She expected Satoshi-kun to help her every time she cried. She was one of the people who cornered him. If Satoko wasn't that much of a burden, Satoshi-kun wouldn't have killed his aunt. Somebody told Satoshi to commit that murder, and to hide the evidence of his connection to the mastermind Satoshi-kun was demoned away. That's what Oishi thought. If Satoshi-kun hadn't killed his aunt, maybe he wouldn't have been chosen as last year's victim, because the commands were vague. After all, the curse of Oishi-sama fell upon the Hojo family as a whole. It didn't matter which member of the family died. His aunt had a terrible reputation in the neighborhood. She didn't communicate with neighbors, she was always throwing fits, and there was nothing nice about her in any way. Even if Satoshi-kun didn't kill her, the curse would have fallen upon her sooner or later. Their aunt was the first victim. There needed to be another Hojo to calm the curse. According to the rumor, the uncle was living somewhere in Okinomiya with his lover. However, Okinomiya was a little different from Hinamizawa. The Sonoka family was powerful there as well, of course, but it would have been more difficult to Okinomiya demon away some way. So naturally, Satoshi-kun and Satoko were still in Hinamizawa became the targets. Which one should be cursed? That was simple. Satoko, of course. She was snobby and lacking in manners. Everyone in the neighborhood liked Satoshi-kun. Okay, so again, 1, she's not. 2, even if she was, understandable given the circumstances. And 3, oh, this person's slightly rude. They deserve death. No! No! It'd be like saying, this person wore the wrong color in this neighborhood. Death. And if he was the son of a Hojo couple who betrayed the village during the dam conflict, compared to Satoko, he didn't deserve to die. Therefore, the actual victim slash his curse should have been his aunt and Satoko. Okay, so if we make Satoko die on the cross, then it'll resurrect Satoshi. Right? It'll make Satoshi happy if we murder his sister, which was the person he loved the most, and was willing to kill his aunt to protect. Satoshi was suddenly all alone. His mean aunt and mean uncle were gone. His sister, who was burdening him all his life, was gone too, and you would swoop in to fill that void, wouldn't you, Shion? Satoshi was such a nice person. He would be sad, although he'd realize he was finally free. But time would heal him. I'd even help. This isn't love, Shion. That's not love. This is not love. He didn't have to live in his house in Hinamizawa. And I'm pretty sure he didn't have any definition of love toward you, but the definition of love you have for him is not... That's not love. He didn't have to live in his house in Hinamizawa. There were plenty of empty rooms in the apartment block where I lived. I could find him a part-time job too. He didn't need to go to school in Hinamizawa. He could go to school in Okonomiya instead. He wouldn't know his way around, or really anything about the school there. So I'd be with Satoshi-kun all the time. I'd show him a shortcut to school, we'd go shopping, I'd teach him many different things. What an unbelievably happy ending. Satoshi-kun had been suffering so much, and I had been pushed away all my life. But we would finally be happy. I enjoyed these sweet delusions, but I didn't have any more time to waste. I was sure there were plenty of old people who had been trying to get hold of Oryu all morning, and who were going to try and catch me after I got home from school. Actually, the phone had been ringing constantly while I enjoyed my happy thoughts. When I answered the phone, I casually listened and replied. As I planned, Keiichi is now known as the next curse victim within the underside of Hinamizawa. I also tried to let them know that the disappearance of the village chief has something to do with the fact that he changed the lock on the ritual storehouse's door. All the authorities in the underside came to realize that the seriousness of trespassing the storehouse. After all, one of the heads of the three families got punished. One of the phone calls was from Oishi. He had also heard of Kimiyoshi's disappearance, and he knew that it had something to do with the changing of the lock. I'm impressed. He has some pretty good sources, but all he can do is catch whatever information he can get. There's no way for him to find out where it's coming from. I'd call Keiichi again tonight. Some of the more aggressive villagers may have already started to take action around him. I'm sure that by now Keiichi is feeling the danger that's coming toward him. And later on we go searching with Keiichi and stuff to look for Rika and Satoko, who are... Well, Rika's definitely dead. Satoko's either dead or bound up on a crucifix in front of Mion about to be stabbed to death later tonight. I'd have to be careful that he doesn't get killed easily. If I can catch the enemy before they get bit Keiichi, I can use him again as bait. Keiichi Mabura. I haven't known him for that long. He's funny if not intelligent. He'll never replace Satoshi-kun, but I do think he's fun to be around. There's just one thing I don't like about him. He rubs my head far too often. His hand is as warm as Satoshi-kun's, which is why I can't stand it. But that's about it. Keiichi Mabura isn't Satoshi-kun's enemy. I don't hate him. He's fun to be around, but I wouldn't shed a tear for him if he became a victim of the curse. I won't prevent Keiichi Mabura from being killed, but I won't kill him myself either. Really? I'd made arrangements for the curse to fall upon him, but I never told anyone to kill him. Okay, by that logic, wouldn't your grandma be completely innocent of everything, even if it happened exactly the way you think it does? But actually it doesn't. Everyone thinks it happens that way, but really it's just an excuse that's being used to cover up, the army of doctors and AK-47s hiding in the forest from the government who are running a biological warfare experiment on this fucking city. Not that it matters, we're over an active fucking volcano in a swamp that released natural gas and poison everyone to death. Well, I suppose I did tell Rika to take care of Keiichi Mabura. Wait a minute. To avenge Satoshi-kun, I'm doing exactly the same thing as the hag did. I'm using the exact same system that killed Satoshi-kun. Keiichi Mabura, I'm just using him. I told people to let the curse fall upon Keiichi, but I've been giving him appropriate warnings. I'm going to help him if he tries to live. If I catch all of my enemies, maybe I'll let him loose. He's different from Satoshi-kun. Satoshi-kun was tricked into killing his aunt, and was killed himself afterwards, so there won't be any evidence remaining. Okay, Keiichi hasn't killed anyone in this timeline. 2. Technically, Satoshi had the brain worms at that point. And All he did was... I won't kill Keiichi. That's how I'm different from the hag. Evening was turning to night. I had to get dinner ready. I had to eat so I had enough strength to take revenge. This place was far from town. It wouldn't even get isolated during the winter because of the snow. It's not unusual for a household like this to have 2 or 3 refrigerators. There were plenty of groceries left in them. I was glad I didn't have to go to the grocery shopping. I could hear the chorus of the higurashi. People often say the sound of higurashi bring back memories. But for me, it's the exact opposite. I only ever heard the sound of higurashi in hinamizawa. Therefore, the sound of higurashi to me is hinamizawa. The sound reminded me that I wasn't supposed to be here, that I couldn't be here. That was when I heard the doorbell. Because there was a good distance between the house and the gate. There was both a doorbell and an intercom by the latter. It had a security camera, too. Something as a modern security camera monitor in this old-fashioned kitchen looked rather strange. I turned on the switch, but nothing appeared on the monitor. I tried to check the plug, but there was a bunch of cords going to behind the refrigerator, so I couldn't even do that. The doorbell continued to ring. While I tried to figure out if the monitor was broken or if I just didn't know how to turn it on, I only felt the answering the doorbell depending on who it was. It'd normally be the easiest to pretend to be out. But that wouldn't help me. I was waiting for my enemies to show up. I couldn't just hide myself in that case. The hag was supposed to be sick and in an extremely bad mood. I'd already sent word that they didn't want to see anyone. So who could it be? I made up my mind and turned the intercom on. If it was someone unwanted, I just could turn whoever it was away. But I had to act normally, so I wouldn't arouse suspicion. I had to act normally. Yes? Who is it? Hello? She didn't tell me her name, but I recognized her voice. Rika-chan, what are you doing here? At this time of day. I ran out of soy sauce, so could you share some with me? Soy sauce? I almost screamed, but I controlled myself. I took a moment to think about the situation. Hinamizawa was far from most stores, so sometimes neighbors would share seasoning and stuff with each other. The village sometimes got snowed in during winter. But the Furude Shrine was quite far from this house. It was rather odd for her to come all the way here on a bicycle just to get some soy sauce. Maybe she was using it as an excuse. Maybe there was something she wanted to talk to me about. That was when I noticed a piece of paper that was on the refrigerator door next to the intercom. We still have plenty of homemade soy sauce in stock. Feel free to come to the Sonozaki house if you want some. The hag must have given that flyer to everyone. One of our relatives sent her a barrel of soy sauce. If you want some, bring a container. That's what the flyer said. I see. That would explain it. There was a handwritten note on the bottom of the flyer. The soy sauce is in the storage area under the floor. Give them as much as they want. There was a storage area beneath the floor. When I opened, I saw a barrel of soy sauce alongside a funnel and a ladle. I didn't want Rika to notice anything suspicious at this point. I decided to share the soy sauce with her. Sure. Did you bring a container? I brought a soy sauce bottle. Okay, come on in. I'll be at the front door. As I headed there, I heard the doorbell ring again. Me? The gate is locked from the inside. I can't open it. Ah, that's right. Sorry. I'll be right there. Just hang on. People didn't pay much attention to safety around here in Hinamizawa. People didn't think too much about locking the doors. Okay, here's the thing. This would be logical if we hadn't had that interaction earlier. We don't know about the stuff about Keiichi talking to her, but we did just threaten her and a lot, so... But as someone who lived in town, I've always locked everything. To let Rika Furude in, I'd have to go outside. Good evening. Bitch. Good evening. Rika smiled at me. She was holding a huge soy sauce bottle. She acted like I never yelled at her, got violent at her, or made her cry at all today. Or perhaps she came in to curry favor, thinking that she angered me. I invited Rika to the front door. I told her to wait for a moment and tried to take the bottle, but Rika took her shoes off and walked to the house with the bottle with her hands. Don't worry, I'll get it for you. Why don't you wait there? I'm pretty good at pouring soy sauce into a funnel, you know. She looked at me as if begging. Like, I'm an adult. Look at me pour into the funnel. I guess she wanted to pour the soy sauce into the bottle herself. I didn't want her to come in the house, but I suppose I didn't want her to wait out there alone either. If she came to the kitchen with me, I could keep my eyes on her. And so I brought Rika to the kitchen. We walked down the hallway. I only heard my footsteps. I stopped suddenly and turned around to make sure Rika was following me. Rika bumped into me. Meep. Sorry. I made sure she was right behind me and started to walk again. Tap, tap, tap. Tip, tip, tip. Tap, tap, tip, tip. Rika must have been having fun matching her footsteps to mine. Even when I quickly sped up, our footsteps matched perfectly. Tap, tap. Tap, tap. Tip, tip. Tip, tip. Tap, tap, tap. I stopped suddenly. Tip, tip, tip. Tip. Rika stopped suddenly too, after taking an extra step. When I turned around, Rika smiled at me. Our footsteps matched perfectly, and when I stopped suddenly, I heard her extra step. I've experienced such footsteps before. It was making me feel uncomfortable. But now, although her footsteps sounded the same as the other ones I'd experienced, I saw her when I turned around. That was the difference between them. I left the storage door open so we could see the soy sauce barrel. The memo said she could take as much as she wants, but I wasn't sure there was enough left. Why do you care? I crouched down and tried to open the lid of the soy sauce barrel. Even when I crouched down, I could hear Rika's extra step. Good, there's plenty left. Take as much as you want. When I turned around, Rika was very close to me. But, who is this? I saw Rika, but it wasn't Rika at all. It was like when I switched with my sister. The outside was the same, but the inside was different. Did Rika have a twin sister? I was confused for a moment. That was when Rika sprayed something from a small bottle on my eyes. Huh? Ah! I felt a terrible pain in my eyes, and suddenly tears poured out, and my nose started to run. I couldn't stop sneezing either. As I stumbled around, I covering my face. I then realized I was attacked. I shut my eyes tightly for a moment, then opened them again. Rika was about to grab my hair and drag me down onto the floor. When Rika saw me open my eyes, she sprayed at me again. I shut my eyes to avoid the spray, but my nose still breathed in the substance. I avoided the pain in my eyes, but the tears, the runny nose, and the sneezing continued. Shit! My brain isn't working quickly enough. However, when I finally understood that I had been attacked by Rika Furude, my brain started to grind into motion. Rika Furude knocked me on my back and got on top of me. I tried to escape from her by rolling onto the kitchen floor. As I rolled, I hit an oven, a huge jar, and destroyed a pile of something on the floor as I fought back. But Rika didn't let go of me. She stayed on top and restrained me. She was sitting on my stomach, and I felt an intense pain and pressure. She sure could fight well. I still couldn't see anything. Rika had the upper hand, and my eyes were shut, and I was in real danger. As I tried to blink, I saw Rika's expression. I didn't know Rika Furude all that well. I only knew her from the few times we met when I went to school as Mion, and from the things I've heard from other people. But as far as I knew, there was no way Rika Furude would ever do something like this. This is just impossible. 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 No, I can't fill my head with that word. I have to calm down and figure out what to do next. Shit, I'm too much of a mess to even think. I tried to peek at her face again. She still has the spray bottle in one hand. What I didn't expect was the thing in her other hand. How could I mistake it for anything else? It was definitely a syringe. When Rika realized I had regained my eyesight, she pointed the spray bottle right at me and let loose with it. I shut my eyes tightly and tried to ignore the pain. But that was when, even though I was blinded, Rika made a miscalculation. She had sprayed at me from such a close distance that she inhaled the substance as well. I heard Rika sneeze and realized that it was my chance. Even if I couldn't see, I knew she was right there. I hit Rika's face a few times. When I felt Rika's weight shift, I escaped. I then got my stun gun ready. Rika must have inhaled just a little of the spray. She wasn't sneezing anymore and was glaring at me instead. Hey, are you picking a fight with me? You want me to wreck you? Rika's expression didn't change, but I was sure she was disappointed that her surprise attack was a failure. Rika flinched just a little, but she was still holding the spray bottle and aiming at my eyes. She was trying to use the spray first, and then give me the shot. I didn't know what was in that syringe, but it was a clear liquid. It had to be something bad. She wanted to take my eyesight, get on top of me, and then give me the shot. If whatever was in that syringe took a while to take effect, I might have the chance to fight back. seriously injure Rika. But Rika's surprise attacks told me that just being injected was more than enough. In other words, whatever the effect, it would start to work immediately. Therefore, I wouldn't be able to fight back against her. It'd probably either knock me out or kill me. In any case, what I had was equally deadly. My stun gun was very powerful. Just one shot would be all it took. What happened before was proof of its power. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we shocked a short person with something that powerful. Like, literally, cops are given warnings that you can't even use the stun guns. Like, you're not allowed to use tasers on people of a certain size, whether they're children or, like, people that are very short or people with, like, very low body weights, like anorexic people. Rika knew my stun gun was, or people with heart conditions, a lot more, or elderly, or very obese people, a lot more powerful than her spray. She was being extremely cautious. Hey, what do you think you're doing in my house, huh? If you aren't moving, then I'll come to you. I threw a pile of newspapers at her. The pile wasn't tied together, so the newspapers flew all over Rika. I jumped at her immediately afterward. I shoved my stun gun into her and pulled the trigger. Rika spasmed and fell to the floor. You fool! Hesitating in a fight where a single blow wins. Only amateurs just glare at each other. You don't have a single clue about how advantageous the first strike is when a single blow can decide everything. The spray bottle rolled onto the ground, but she still had the syringe. Rika was down, but I couldn't let my guard down either. I kicked her in the side and clambered on top of her. I took the syringe and held Rika's arm down and gave her the shot. My actions could hardly be called gentle. I injected her violently. I injected everything that was in the syringe. Rika began to convulse. I stood back and watched for what would happen to her body. Of course, I still had my guard up. While I assumed that the drug would incapacitate her immediately, I didn't know exactly what kind of reaction she would have. Ha ha, look at you. Did you really think you could defeat me? Think again. After a few more convulsions, Rika unsteadily got to her feet. That's ridiculous. How can she even stand? I looked at my stun gun. Damn it. The power was on the lowest setting. Maybe it had been readjusted when we were rolling on the ground? I changed the setting to maximum. Rika turned pale and started sweating all over. I didn't know its exact effects, but if Rika had given me the shot, I'd be the one experiencing her symptoms. She looked really sick, so obviously she must have been feeling awful too. She couldn't even focus. She was very wobbly and had her hand on the wall. She had lost her balance, and it must have been hard for her to even stand. She didn't look so brave anymore. Rika wobbled some more and moaned as if she was about to throw up. Oh, Hanyu, Hanyu, cough, cough, Hanyu, Hanyu. Rika looked scary as she moaned and wobbled, but at the same time she looked kind of funny too. Certainly, she hadn't even dreamed she'd be getting the shot herself. As the man sows, so shall he reap. That's what you get. Ah, this is funny, so funny. But please don't throw up here. Go to the bathroom, okay? I'm going to enjoy how long it'll take for you to die. Oh, but that means I can't torture you later, huh? I've been planning to use the nail table on you. So either you choke on your own vomit and die, or I pound nails in all 10 of your fingers. I wonder which it will be. Okay, I know. Let's move to the underground shrine storage. I'll put you to sleep so I can move you there, okay? I walked up to Rika, my stun gun making popping sounds. When Rika saw the sparks from the stun gun, she moved to grab a huge kitchen knife. Oh, are you still trying to fight? That makes things more fun. I have so much I want to ask you. I would suggest you back down. Well, actually, even if you do, you'll go through the same misery anyway. Sorry, but I'll refuse that invitation, you torture maniac. What she said wasn't anything I'd expect to hear from the Rika I knew, but I didn't hesitate. I had the advantage, so I didn't need to worry. Besides, this was coming from the last survivor of the Furude family, one of the 3 families. That sudden change somehow felt natural. Compared to what the 3 families have done, this is nothing. Thank you for the high praise, though. I should be proud of myself, huh? So, are you seriously thinking about fighting me with a knife in that condition? You can't even stand straight. You're right. Like you said, I'm at my limit. But if that means getting captured and tortured to death by you, then sorry, I'm taking my leave. Taking your leave? Pff! Try it if you can. It was clear who held the advantage here. But despite that, an odd thrill filled both of us. We lost our minds wasn't a fitting phrase for the people of hinamizawa. It was a feeling of release. When modern demons couldn't stop pretending to be human. Yes, this was a mad banquet of demons, with the savoring of blood and the devouring of flesh, attended by the head of the Furude family and the head of the Sonozaki family, the odd old families whose blood is closest to the madness of the demons. I stood in front of the hallway so as to block her escape route. The windows had grates and the doors had a safety chain on it. If she turned around, I'd hit her with my stun gun. In this situation, what did Rika Furude mean by taking her leave? Rika got her knife ready. I expected her to aim at my stomach when she suddenly attacked, so I took a stance with my stun gun, ready in my hand. Rika, however, suddenly turned around, and I carefully watched to see what her next move would be. Rika put the handle of the knife to the wall and held it in place. What was she doing? Goodbye, torture maniac. I won't give you the satisfaction of killing me. Rika reared her head back and slammed her throat against the knife on the wall. Exclamations! Her blood splattered all over the wall. Rika bent backwards and repeatedly, and let the knife slash at her throat. Again and again. Her neck and chest were dyed red. I'd always thought blood was darker, but her blood wasn't dark. It was so bright. I must have been confused, but it looked pretty. Actually, the darkness of blood comes from coagulation of oxygen in the blood. After doing this several times, Rika turned around. Her eyes were wide open. She didn't look like she was from this world. Her face looked like something both living and dead, both real and artificial. It was very scary, eerie, and above all else, pale. Although her face looked unearthly, it was a very appropriate face for a demon. I didn't have a mirror, so I couldn't tell, but I was sure I looked exactly like her. Rika continued to violently slash her throat. It reminded me of someone trying to break a huge piece of ice with an ice pick. That was exactly what Rika looked like. The white chips of ice coolly flying through the air. What I saw before me was a beautiful sight. Every time Rika struck her throat, tiny drops of red blood splattered the boring white world around her. It was like a dance. A dedication dance by the final head of the Furude family. The demon's last dance of dedication to the Oyoshiro-sama. Upon seeing that literally blood-curdling dance, I let out a fierce roar. I had no reason to do so. I was howling like an animal. We were like animals trying to kill each other, both getting covered in blood. And inevitably, as one convulsed in a pool of that blood, the other threw its back its head and howled. My body shivered with the joy that I felt inside of me. This was death, the most final of judgments. And it was right before me, jubilation. The demons howled, screamed, and roared. The roars faded and my voice started to change from the voice of a demon back to that of a human. As a demon I roared, but as a human I sneered. Rika was covered in blood from her neck down. Her blood was pouring out. Making a little noise, Rika was still staring into my eyes. I stared back at her. I wasn't sure they were still eyes, though. They were no longer human eyes, but the eyes of the dead. Rika's corpse, vomited blood from her mouth and nose and smiled. Then she dropped the knife. She stuck her hands out and turned her palms upward. Her wiggling fingers reminded me of an insect's legs. Those fingers reached for her own throat. I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never seen anybody do this before, because Rika was scratching her own throat. She was ripping her own throat apart. Maybe that wasn't a good description. She was trying to rip out the inside of her throat through the opening she'd made with the knife. Her fingers found the biggest tear. Rika smiled. At least, that's what I would have called it if she were alive. She ripped open the tear in one tug. Well, wow! Upon hearing my scream, Rika died and fell on her face into the pool of blood. That was it. She didn't get up again to show me her throat. I stepped back from Rika Furude's body and bumped into the wall of the hallway. Roar! I roared again in admiration of the ritual dance. Roar! Dedication to the head of the Furude family. Joy ran through my body, and my blood rushed throughout my veins. I won. I defeated her. Rah! I then realized I disposed of the heads of the 3 families and the core of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Everything was finally exposed. The curse of Oyashiro-sama and its masterminds were all exposed. I disposed of the leaders of 3 families, who all killed Satoshi-kun. The head of the Sonozaki family died at the heart of attack. She was at the bottom of a well along with a wheelchair. I apprehended the head of the Kimiyoshi family. He'd continued to tiptoe until he died. The head of the Furude family died in a way that was perfect for the final head of the 3 families of Onagafushi. I did it. I accomplished my mission. I defeated all the masterminds who killed Satoshi-kun with the curse. Everyone. Satoshi-kun, you were powerless. You didn't have the means to fight back. Those evil people simply sneered while they let you die, after marking you as a member of the cursed Hojo family. I will never, ever forgive them. They believed you deserved to die because you were one of the Hojos. As long as it was done by the curse of the Oyashiro-sama, they didn't care how you were killed. I will never forgive those people for creating this world. What could I have done to save you, Satoshi-kun? I couldn't save you. I have explained in the previous videos how you could have done that multiple ways. Shion Sonozaki couldn't do anything else at the time. If I was Mion, not Shion, if I was Mion that day, I could have saved you. Mion could have saved you. Here's the irony. Originally, you were supposed to be Mion, but if you were in the position to be in Mion rather than be in Shion, you would have never cared about Satoshi to begin with. In fact, you would have been more cruel and heartless than Mion and the Hag combined. You would have been more sadistic and cruel to Satoshi if you had met him if you had been raised as Mion instead of Mion. You would have been far more cruel and heartless as Satoshi to begin with, and you would have never cared about him to begin with. I remember now, Shion. She said she wanted to eat red snapper sashimi that day. I was supposed to eat that, but Shion pouted and cried. That's why I let her switch, just for that night. Did it make her happy like a big sister would? Shion was never treated well, so I felt bad. That was it. I was being a good sister. That was it. When morning came, there would have been remained so until today. We weren't twins anymore. The one with the demon was Mion, and the one without the demon was Shion. What was that supposed to mean? Wait, Mom, listen. I'm Mion, not her. You can tell us apart, right, Mom? Look, can't you tell I'm Mion? Come on, everyone, tell me I'm Mion. I'm Mion. Don't call me Shion. I'm Mion, I am. Then I realized, you knew, didn't you, that the relatives weren't gathering for a simple party that night. You knew. No, I didn't. I really didn't know. Huh? How can you say that? You were so persistent that day. You said you'd never eaten red snapper before. So, you really wanted to try it. You never gave up asking me. I really didn't know. I didn't know. If I had known, I wouldn't have said it. Oh, sure. You were always jealous of me. That was why I switched with you every once in a while. But you weren't satisfied with just that. You became even more jealous. And that night you knew what was going on and took Mion from me. You took Mion from me. Give Mion back. I'm the one who was Mion. I am Mion Sonozaki. You are Shion this whole time. Don't call yourself Mion, you imposter. I kicked the bars to the cell repeatedly while I roared. Compared to that roar, the metallic noise of the bars sounded like the cry of a little puppy. I had been convinced by something so stupid. You then repeatedly punched the puppy in the box. And the puppy looked at you. Why? Why are you punching me? And you keep fucking punching the puppy. The tattoo of the demon was just a way of telling us apart. Even without the tattoo, I am Mion. That's right, I am Mion Sonozaki. I gathered my hair and put it in a ponytail, the yellow band that Mion used all the time. Since I didn't feel my hair on my neck, I felt like I could think more clearly now. 2 Mions looked at each other through the iron bars. According to our sibling rules, that was never supposed to happen. Yes, there's only one Mion and one Shion. There could never be 2 of either of us at the same time. Shion, let your hair down. I am Mion, and Mion is here. You were never Mion, so don't pretend to be me ever again. Do you hear? I said, do you hear? If you do, answer me. Answer me! Shion! I took myself back on this day. Shion admitted she was Shion. Ha! How wonderful it is to be Mion. I feel great. I can think clearly now, because after all, Mion is capable of anything. Unlike you, Shion. How dare you pretend to be Mion. Do you have any idea? Huh? Shion? Yes, sis. Shion called me sis. And so, I was Mion. Ha! The demon who had been asleep, deep inside of me, was finally allowed to wake up. And the demon roared. My whole body shivered to express its joy. Shion, you committed a great sin. You were Mion until now. You were in a powerful position as Mion of the Sonozaki family, yet you didn't even try to rescue Satoshi-kun. You had millions of chances to save him, but you chose not to do anything. I won't forgive you. I'll never forgive you. I could have saved Satoshi-kun. You took him from me, and you killed him. I'll never forgive you for that. Shion was shaking on the other side of the bars. I will kill you. I will kill you in the best way possible. Starting today, I'm going to think of the best, most gruesome way to kill you. Shion, you better spend every minute fearing what's coming to you. I won't just kill you. I'll make sure your death is long and miserable, and after you're dead, I'll throw you into the well. You better apologize to Satoshi-kun when you get there. This is what you get for pretending to be me. Do you hear me? That's your sin. Ah. I needed to at least clean up the kitchen. While I was putting old newspapers on the floor to absorb the blood, the phone rang. I didn't want to answer it, but maybe I should. I should answer it and talk to whoever it was. Hello, this is the Sonozaki residence. Thank you for answering. This is Hojo calling. I was surprised to hear the Hojo name, but I realized right away that it was Satoko. Oh. What's the matter, Satoko? Sorry to call so late. Is Rika not there with you? Ah, yes. Ever since Satoko Hojo was abandoned, she had been living with Rika Furude. Of course, she'd get suspicious that Rika hadn't returned yet. Ah, yeah, she's here. Oh, she's still there. It's long past dinner time. Hey, Satoko. I made too much dinner tonight, so I told Rika-chan to eat here with me. Eh? Is that so? Oh. Why don't you come over, too? I have plenty of food left. Rika-chan has already started eating. Oh, Rika! All right. I'll clean up a little, then head out. I know, Satoko went all that trouble cooking everything, and Rika's having a nice meal, probably eating red snapper, too. Ah, see you shortly. Okay. I'll be here. See ya. Click. Hey guys, this will work out fine, right? By the way, I keep saying like, oh, things could still be fixed over and over. No, it's done now. I mean, it's still at least, Keiichi, I've been calling your name for a while now. You have a phone. It's from Sonozaki-san. This is Sonozaki-san. Which one? The older sister or the younger one? I don't know. Ask her yourself. Hello? Mion? Or is it Shion? It's me, Shion. Good evening. Shion! Sorry about last night. I got all riled up. And here's the thing. Later on, keiichi finds out that, it's actually, Shion was already missing at that point. Which means, it must have been Mion pretending to be Shion. But it's actually Shion who's really Mion pretending to be Mion pretending to be Shion. I got all riled up. Sorry about last night. I got all riled up. He must have been worried about how I hung up the phone suddenly last night. We're tied to the same fate. Making sure the other one is alright is the only way to guarantee our safety. Yeah, I agree. We absolutely need to share whatever information we have, so that we don't die like Tomotaki-san did. Gulp. I heard Keiichi swallow loudly. Then let's continue from where we left off. You'll listen without getting angry this time, right? Yeah. I'll be fine. Keiichi agreed to be quiet and listen. I explained the dangerous situation Keiichi was in once again. Just like how some evil people in the village attacked Takano-san to Meakashi-san, they might attack us one day. It was ironic, of course, that while I was warning him, I was also the one who made sure the curse would fall upon him. We are also, Mion is in a cell downstairs. Everybody else is dead. We're literally standing next to Rika's corpse that we are literally covering a newspaper like we just have a messy puppy or something. I mean, Rika is kind of a messy puppy. Well, that's both adorable and depressing. Let's report anything we notice that seems strange. If we connect all the tiny pieces that we have, then just maybe we'll find out who killed them, or maybe even the truth behind the incidents of the past few years. You're right. You're right about that. Then I'll start since I suggested it. I feel like somebody has been watching me lately. What? I was making this up. I just wanted him to realize how urgent the situation was. It might be my imagination, but I'll tell you anyway. I think it's just me, but if you feel like you're being watched too, Kei-chan, then maybe it's not just in my head. Well, don't worry. At the very least, everything's fine with me. It seemed like nothing had happened to Keiichi today, at least. Now that the heads of the three families were gone, it was possible the curse system had been destroyed entirely. If that was the case, then Keiichi might not be attacked after all. But if there was someone who did want to attack him, that meant part of the system was still alive. In other words, my mission wouldn't be accomplished just yet. Keiichi is like a litmus test in this situation. I'd know whether or not all my enemies were gone, depending on if Keiichi got bitten. He is a very useful man. After that, I went along with what Keiichi said. I made sure he was fearful of Mion, as well as all of the three families. I explained to him the possibility that the whole village was involved, and that the curse always assures him might be some sort of system. I remembered Shion wouldn't know too much about the continued disappearance of marriage, so I continued. I asserted myself, is it true that Uncle Kamiyoshi went missing? You mean the mayor? Wait, Shion, you haven't heard? I don't know anything. I just overheard that my father talked about it on the phone again. Yeah, actually, last night after the meeting, he didn't come home, so the village was in a panic. They searched all over hinamizawa, but if they found him, then I haven't heard. The police should be searching for him as well. But why didn't you tell me that something important right away? Sorry, I thought you already knew. I didn't want to hide it or anything. Kei-chan. What? What should I do? What's wrong? Tell me. You're not keeping secrets from each other, right? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hide it. It's just, I had a conversation with Turner got around, and we're on the same side, right? I won't get mad, so just tell me. Uncle Kamiyoshi, I told him everything. Old man Kamiyoshi. He's someone you feel comfortable confiding in, Shion? Yes. He would. When I was little, he was really nice to me. All I did was play tricks on him, but he would always just smile. He'd listen to anything I had to say. He was such a kind person. Calm down, Shion. It's not like he's dead, right? Don't lose heart so easily. Keiichi tried to make me feel better, but he had no idea what was actually going on. It really made me laugh. That night, I told the mayor that we snuck into the ritual storehouse, also that someone saw us and was out to get us. Does the mayor know how absurdly Takano-san Tomitaki-san died? Yes, he knew about it. I told him that they died by Ushiro-sama's curse, and that I could be made a sacrifice to calm his anger. I just said it straight out. Right. What then? Uncle Kamiyoshi didn't get angry. He smiled and told me that if I was remorseful about it, there was no way I'd be demoned away. He was really smiling. And he told me to leave it to him. I actually got a little sad while saying that. Uncle Kamiyoshi had been so reliable. I was happy when he had said that he would protect Shion. I truly was happy. If only he hadn't said anything to insult Satoshi-kun. It's my fault, because I confessed everything. Stop it, Shion. It's not your fault. No, it is my fault. It is Shion's fault. I told him our secret. Uncle Kamiyoshi found out about everything, so he had to have been killed. It was right after I confessed to him, after all. He disappeared the same night, and he told me everything was going to be all right. It was such a strange feeling. I wasn't upset at all, but as I pretended to be upset and muttered the words of prayer for Kamiyoshi's safety, I started to feel that emotion growing inside of me. I was only pretending to be distressed to fool Keiichi, yet the emotion I feigned began welling up inside me. It felt like I was being consumed by that emotion. So the words coming from my mouth weren't words I intentionally said. They were words that were consuming emotion forced me to say. It was like someone else inside of me was doing the talking instead, and I was just watching that someone talk from a short distance away. I should never have told him. All of this should have only been our fault, only the four of us. It wasn't something I should have told someone else. He got killed because I told him. He got killed because he knew. He got killed because I confessed to him. Hey, stop. If they were doing that, then they would obviously have been killed you before killing the mayor. It doesn't make any sense. You or I should have been killed first. Why would other people die before us? It does make sense. They must be planning to kill us last of all. Huh? What? They start by killing those we're close to, and after that they cause us so much pain. They'll kill us. That must be what they're doing. What I just said scared even me. Killing our loved ones first to harm us emotionally, and only then kill us at the height of our suffering. Whoa. I felt something crawling up my spine. That's awesome! It's an awesome idea! I must not be human anymore. I really am a demon. A human could never think of such cruel things. I mean, I agree. That would be one incredible hell. Your close friends dying one at a time after being tortured, and then after all that, you yourself get killed. What a great way to destroy someone's life. Why was I getting so excited about this? We are now having... Well, should I even call her Shion or Mion anymore? We're now talking about the demon's boner. She just has a big erection as she's talking to Keiichi. Because I could get going with that plan right away. Heck, she keeps going this route, she's just going to start coming while having the discussion with Keiichi. Rika-chan. It's Rika-chan. What? What did you say just now? Well, the truth is, I told her about it. I told Rika-chan. Today. Rika-chan, you mean Rika-chama? The one from the Furude Shrine? Yes. Rika-chan. I felt so scared and uneasy that I did it. I told Rika-chan. When you did, what did she say? The cat is worrying too much. I'll do something about it for sure. That's what Rika-chan said. I'm sorry, Shion. I'm worried about Rika-chan. All right, if you're that concerned, then don't worry about me. Please, go find out whether she's safe. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll call you again tomorrow at the same time. When I do, you'll know I'm still alright. I got it. I'll be waiting. Okay, bye. Sorry. I'm hanging up. Keiichi hang up roughly. I wonder, though. At this point, does Rena know that, the identity issues with Mion and Shion going right now? What a hilarious conversation with Keiichi. Everything was just too damn funny. Keiichi, Mabra, go ahead and struggle helplessly. Run all over the village and see if the curse is still alive. Go ahead and see if my enemies are still around. I laughed for a while and then calmed down. I had already got rid of the bicycles and shoes belonging to Rika and Satoko. My house was, for the moment, taken care of. I could expect Keiichi to run around in a panic, to ask for help from someone, and then ultimately come to Mion. More than likely, a youth group would end up looking for Rika like they did with the mayor. I'd probably have to endure a long night again, knowing nobody would find her. I decided to wait until the phone rang. I killed time by watching TV until it did. Kei-chan, are you serious? I'm going to get really mad if this is a joke. I scolded Keiichi for suspecting that Rika had disappeared. Mi-chan. I wonder how much this person knows at this point. Granted, she's the one who looks at the soy sauce thing being missing from Rika and Satoko's house and realizes that she must have gone to Mion's to get soy sauce and that Mion must have killed Rika and Satoko. But that's hours from now. Also, even at that point, even when she's had more time to think about it afterward, even when she's talking about me, does she know that the Mion in front of her isn't the one that she would normally be her club president? How aware of the scenario is she? Even at this point, does she know who's who at this point? Or what exactly is occurring? Mi-chan, If it really is a joke, don't get mad. Smile. It would be a joke after all. We need to go make sure whether it's a joke or not. You're right. Sorry for getting upset. Rena rebuked me. While she looked quiet, I felt that she could be very terrifying under her skin. I had no basis for that impression, but I still felt that way. I mean, technically, Rena was, like, when you were talking to her by that bus stop, when you were implying that the world would be better and Satoshi would be better if Satoko died, if you literally were a little more thorough with saying that, Rena would have killed you on the spot on that trail. Heck, even in that scenario, whether Satoshi killed the aunt or not, he'd still be alive and free. I just didn't like her. I had disliked her ever since that rainy day at the bus stop. It wasn't that we didn't get along, though. How should I put it? I was at a loss for how to explain. Ah, that was it. I found a good example. When I was little, I wanted to play tennis. I had my relatives take me to tennis court, and they all praised my skill. I was nothing more than hitting the ball with a racket, but they told me I was talented, and that made me happy. When I went to school, I told my classmates I played tennis, and they told me that I was talented too. Then, one of my classmates, who was usually very quiet, said she also played tennis. Not only did she play, but she took lessons. Although I had bragged about my serve, I was no match for her. I felt lonely and insulted that everyone was paying attention to her, not me. She was usually very quiet, but suddenly I realized that she knew more and had a lot more experience than me. Ren at the bus stop was just like that. I thought of myself as a demon now. I awakened a part of me that was half human and half demon, the part that lived in Onikafushi village. In fact, I'd already stepped into a world where normal humans couldn't go. I had already surpassed my human limits. I generally thought of myself as a superior being, having transcended the realm of mortals. But when my eyes met with Rena Ryugu's, I felt what I did long ago with tennis.